Next up in our Lion Legends series, we're chatting with Michael Edwards, a four-year starter for the UNA football program from 1993 to 96. He finished his career as UNA's all-time leading receiver, 151 catches for 2,844 yards and 20 touchdowns. Currently, he ranks second all-time in receptions and receiving yards, third in touchdowns. He was selected to both the North Alabama and Gulf South Conference Football Team of the Decades for the 1990s. He's also a member of UNA's 50th anniversary football team, a three-time national champion. Michael Edwards, thank you for taking the time to go down memory lane with us.
Thank you, Benjamin. Thank you for having me.
West Point High School. Let's back up to pre-UNA, a four-sport athlete: football, baseball, basketball, and track. Your senior year, you won a state championship playing football. The high school Michael Edwards, what was that experience like?
Oh, man, my high school days, where I started junior high, I have nothing but good memories. High school, we won the state championship 3 years in a row, which I was a part of two of them. I learned a lot. I think I transformed from a boy to a man in some aspects at that particular time. We had good coaches. One of my coaches, my position coach, Coach Rob Likens, he went to UNA with me at the same particular time. He was wonderful. Coach Davis, oh man, I look at him as a father figure. He was wonderful. We had some good players, just a good school in general. And coming from that school, I view it as a championship school, also a championship program. So there was good days, very, very many good days, and I salute to West Point High School.
Take us back to your recruitment to UNA, and I want to start with this. In 1992, UNA threw for an average of 34 yards per game through the air. So here you are, a wide receiver, being recruited by UNA. What made it so appealing to you?
Well, in reality, I had no knowledge about UNA. Really didn't know about UNA. Didn't know the ins and outs. Had no expectations at that particular time. What brought me to UNA, I was heavily recruited by Coach Davis. And Coach Davis came to our school quite a few times. He highlighted UNA a whole lot. And I was highly recruited by a lot of Division I schools, Ole Miss being one in particular, that Billy Brule, the coach at that time, would come to West Point, came to my mom's house out in the living room with my mom, assured me that I had a good chance to start if I went to Ole Miss. However, I was short a point on the ACT, and he expressed to me that I probably wouldn't start my first year because of the ACT score. Coach Davis, on the other hand, being that UNA was a Division II school, to the best of my memory, assured me that I still could play my first year. However, got to UNA, I was on academic probation, considered a Prop 48. And I selected UNA to come to UNA. Again, didn't know that UNA had the caliber coaches they had the caliber players they had. When I got there on a visit, there was good guys. I remember Jeff Redcross he was a guy not guy, but the teammate that escorted me through campus and showed me the ins and outs of UNA. And he talked wonderful about that school. And when I got back home, I talked with my parents, actually my mom, and my mom wasn't big on, whether, you play sports or not. She was big on academics, and she left that decision up to me. She just wanted me to get an education, get a degree, and so on. And I never looked back. I chose UNA, and I'm very, very proud that I did.
Let's jump into your career at North Alabama. 1993 freshman season, You just mentioned you'd won the high school state championships. Now you come in, you win a championship as a freshman in 93, but you and Demetrius Shelton come in. UNA goes from 34 passing yards per game to nearly 110 per game with that triple option attack. And let's talk about being a wide receiver in that offense. First off, Demetrius Shelton, what do you feel like you guys brought as freshmen?
Well, again, as freshmen, we both understood that we had a role to play, and there wasn't a competition between me and Demetrius. As you know, I start or you start. There was a co-partnership that I felt like he brought a lot to the offensive side. I felt like I brought a lot to the offensive side, and whatever we was needed for, we wanted to be a part of it. However, I'm very competitive. I say there wasn't no competition, but in hindsight, there's always a competition with me. We knew that being a part of a triple option team, that there had to be a lot of blocking involved. I think that's where I overwhelmed Demetrius that I was pretty much a good blocker. But truthfully, Demetrius, man, the guy was very talented. I'm not going to say he ran good routes, but he can catch the heck out of the football. I think he was a little discouraged, as I was, that, we probably wouldn't get a lot of balls thrown to us. It was an honor that the coaches viewed us as talented guys, and we're going to switch up a little bit. We're not only going to run the triple option, we're going to throw out of the triple option. So we end up being successful at that position, and it meant a lot to myself, and I would assume it meant a lot to Demetrius also.
So that first year, break it down, wide receiver in a triple option attack. We've talked with a lot of the great runners from that era, but balancing the blocking, getting so few opportunities to go out and make a catch. Just what was it like for you adjusting to that?
It was a big adjustment. I hate to go back to high school, but it's in relevance that I do. We threw a lot in high school. We ran a lot. We had wonderful backs that was, went on to have successful careers. When I got to UNA, I'd never seen a tandem like Rush and Satterfield. Oh man, a 1-2 combination that anybody in the nation would want. So that even made it more discouraging that, we got a good backfield with a triple option offense that, probably wouldn't see the ball. So I made do. I made to, tried to be the best at what I was needed for. And if it was, being there to block on every play, I was there to block on every play. If it was, my number was called to catch a pass, I'm there for it. So it wasn't as discouraging as I thought it would be at first. I was able to adapt with it. And again, I thank the coaches for trusting in us to make it more than a one-dimension offense.
Willie Slater, your offensive coordinator, what was it like playing for him?
Oh, my goodness. I thought I was competitive. Coach Slater is a very, very competitive guy. This guy is smart. He's beyond smart. He can take an average running back and make him to, one of the top backs in the whole GSC conference. He was hard on you, but he was hard for a reason. If he knew it was in you, he could bring it out of you. That guy just can't, I can't talk enough about. He motivated you on areas that, you never thought you could be motivated on. Somebody that could dissect a defense, Coach Slater could. And good spiritual guy. I think it was time that he wanted to, put his Christian hat down and curse like no other, but he held it in. So all in all, good coach, and I respect him a lot. He was one of the ones that transformed me to from a boy to a man. And I definitely give kudos to him.
The 93 national championship game, winning it as a freshman, what are some of the things that have stood out to you looking back?
Well, it was an unbelievable feeling, first and foremost. You would think somebody that's been a part of a championship, wouldn't embrace another championship like I did. Man, it was on a different level. It's a different feeling. Some things that stood out, we had 2 interceptions by Robert Haynes. The first few minutes of the game, that wonderful block by Israel Raybon. Just so many things that comes to mind when we mention that championship game. But first and foremost is winning it. The crowd, over 15,000 people. I'd never been involved or been around that many people watching us or watching me. So that was amazing. Just the hospitality the whole Shoals community showed, the fans, the interest they had in seeing their team play, things of that sort just was amazing.
Let's jump into the 1994 season, your sophomore campaign. And you had a lot of big statements that season, and it starts with 955 yards receiving, a school record that held for 22 years until Dre Hall broke it in 2016. You also caught 8 touchdowns. That was a school record that stood until 2005. And when you look back in the years that have followed, UNA's had All-American quarterbacks, Harlan Hill winning quarterbacks. But to know that that record stood for so long during that option attack era, have you thought about just how memorable and special that is?
I have. And, with you saying all of that, it really brings back more memories. I've always been the one that, individual accolades didn't really matter to me. I've always been a team player. I always tried to be the best in whatever I did. I talk with people now that bring those stats up and those thoughts up, and I simply tell them, I'm glad you telling me than I'm telling you. So, but in a nutshell, it means a lot. Sometimes I go on the internet, and this every now and then, probably once a year or so, and I would look at the stats and see, who ranks here, who broke this, and things of that sort. But for the most part, I'm just happy and I'm glad that I had the opportunity, and I had the opportunity with University of North Alabama to put up those numbers. I'm thankful for it.
You mentioned earlier what Tyrone Rush and Brian Satterfield did for the offense in 93. And in 94, you had carries as well, rushing, records receiving. How much did the offense change for you in year number 2?
I think it changed a lot. You can say it changed by looking at the numbers. My first year, I had over 500 yards. My second year, I had over 900 yards, close to 1,000. So I think Coach Bobby Wallace and Coach Slater and Coach Likens understood, hey, we got somebody that could help us out more than, we're using him. And it went from, blocking 90% of the time to blocking 70% of the time and getting more catches, getting more opportunities. So the opportunities part, what really stood out to me and meant more to me than anything is that I got the opportunity to do more and be a bigger part of the offense than, just a blocking aspect. So, it meant a whole lot, to answer your question, Ray.
Let's talk about some big breakout games that you had in 94. And a lot of people say it started against Youngstown State. 6 catches, 120 yards, and a touchdown, your first career 100-yard receiving game, a 62-yard touchdown pass to tie the game up. It was the only loss during the 3 championship seasons. But that game specifically, any big memories from it?
Yeah, there's. I would tell you a memory that stands out. Oh my goodness! At the beginning of the game, me and Cody, we had a lot of miscommunications. It was where if I was running this route, he was throwing to another route, or vice versa. And I remember verbatim, Coach Wallace called timeout, and he called me to the sideline, and well, all of us went to the sideline, but in particular me, he said, you need to get your mind together, or this miscommunication needs to stop. And anybody that knows me knows that I'm a very vocal person. In criticism I don't take well, not well in where I blow up, but well where it makes me, go harder. And me and Cody talked. Cody said, Mike, it's no fault of yours. It's no fault of mine. It's a fault of ours. So let's take care of it. And I really respect him for that. With that conversation, we were down 14-7. You just said Cody threw me a 62-yard pass. Caught several other passes, and we got on the same page. And it shows that if you talk something out, you work it out, you get on the same page, good things can happen. Unfortunately, we lost 17-14, but it made us better. For the rest of my time at UNA, while Cody was there, we could talk, we can look eye to eye, and it seems like something just paired us was where we was on the same page. So that game meant a whole lot.
Jim Tressel was the head coach at Youngstown State. He went on to coach at Ohio State, a national champion winning coach. He said after the game, referring to you, I've never seen a team in obvious passing situations send out just one receiver and he could get open almost every time. Hearing that quote now from Jim Tressel about you, what does it trigger?
Oh, my goodness. A successful and well-respected coach of Jim Tressel making those statements about little old Michael Edwards. That means a lot. You don't get those kind of accolades on a constant basis from big time coaches referring to smaller schools. So it means a lot. I thank him for that. It just shows you when you put your best forward, regardless of the situation, you can make good out of it.
Next game, we want to jump to a showdown, a nationally ranked ball game, number 1 UNA versus number 2 Valdosta State. It's raining, 6 catches, 135 yards, and a touchdown. What was it like to go out and kind of have that showcased on a nationally broadcast game?
Wonderful. Valdosta was a well-respected team. They had good athletes. They were, compared to being the best team in the GSC. I feel this way. If you got a team that's on your standards, you got a team that got the same height that you have, that's when the opportunity to come to show you the best. And I'm not talking about me in general. I'm talking about UNA football team. We'll go in and watch film. We'll hear the coaches say, these guys think they're better than you guys. These guys, are getting more national credit than you guys are. So before we even play them, we already got vendetta. We already, thinking to ourselves, hey, these guys are not on our level. So to go out and do your best and put numbers, up like we did, not I did, but we did, and beat a good team, that means a lot. And to do it in front of, like you just said, national televised game, it means even more. So it meant a lot.
1994 semifinal game against North Dakota State. You take the opening kickoff, 88 yards for a touchdown, set the tone. UNA won that game 35-7. Toss in 5 catches, 119 yards, and a score. You had quite the showcase in that ball game as well. What do you remember about the thrill of just that game as a whole and all the big plays you made?
Oh, my goodness. The first play of the game was the kickoff that you just stated. And, I was very tired. This was considered a reverse kickoff return where the actual kickoff return person, hands it off, and it went 90 or 80 something yards, but in reality, one of the commentators said it covered over 200 yards. I was sideline to sideline, down the field, sideline to sideline again. And if you ever watch that play, you can see the exhaustion. I think I went down at the 1 yard line, but, giving the credit to the referees, they gave me a touchdown. But yeah, a team that traveled far to play UNA, and we had a lot of fans at the game. That even meant more. So absolutely, that game was a good game, and it's a lot of good highlights out of that game.
The second national championship win in '94. What's the things that stand out to you?
Oh my goodness. I would say first and foremost is that the offense wasn't clicking on all cylinders. We were, seems like that we had a lot of stuff going on that we wasn't capitalizing on, and that what made UNA football team full-dimensional team is that if we wasn't doing good on offense, we got other phases, kicking game, the defense, which was outstanding. Defense played a heck of a game. They actually carried that particular game. They carried the team, and we don't look at it as a defensive game, an offensive game, a kicking game. We look at it that it's a full circle game, and I think that's what UNA during the '93, '94, and '95 years we had a full team, all-rounded team. And when one dimension is not clicking, then there's other dimensions on the team that will carry us. So what stood out is definitely the defense.
Let's jump into the '95 season. Two-time defending national champions. A lot of people call that '95 team perhaps the greatest Division II team of all time. I want to talk about the Purple Swarm defense with you. Guys you've been playing against since you were a freshman. What was practice like going up against those guys every day?
We had some battles. When you think about it, you got one of the all-time greatest defensive player in my mind in Division II, and could have been ranked with a lot of Division I teams also, Ronald McKinney. You got Keith Humphrey, Marcus Keys, Israel Raybon, Gerald Smith, you name it. At every position we were stout. Every position, you could take one of those guys out and bring a guy in off of the that wasn't playing, that comes off the sideline and could fit in perfectly. That defense, I never saw a defense like it. I watch a lot of football, have watched a lot of football. When you got people at all positions that doesn't miss a beat, and the camaraderie they had, we had it as a team, but they definitely had it as a defense. If one guy's to the ball, all guys are to the ball. And the celebration, if somebody's down, they pick them up, never miss a beat, keep going. You can't speak enough good things about the Purple Swarm. They were good, very.
The night before the '95 national championship game, we've talked to a lot of former players, Bobby Wallace as well, about the team meeting the night before and just what it did for the team heading into the game. You as a junior, what's your perspective from that legendary meeting?
It took a lot of heart. There was, younger people that never experienced nothing like this. I saw a couple interviews, and they meant what they told you. They meant just what they said. We cried, we hugged each other, we shook each other's hand, we high-fived each other, and just the mere fact that you had senior guys that broke down like they did in front of the younger guys showed how dedicated they were to their team, showed how dedicated they were to their city, and they showed how dedicated they were to their staff and their coaches. I came out of that meeting with a perspective that is no way, no how we lose. There's no way, no how, we stand up for each other. We carry each other. We be there for each other. It meant a whole lot. Some of those same speeches, same conversations I use on a daily basis because, you just have to be there to understand and to know where I'm coming from when I say that was a hard feeling situation.
The 95 national championship game, your junior year, caps off 3 in a row. You caught a touchdown pass from Cody Gross in the ball game as well, the lefty quarterback, your quarterback all those years. That last one, what did it mean to get one final catch from Cody Gross in the end zone?
It meant a whole lot. I think it sent Cody out with a bang. If my regulations are right, Cody set out due to a hip injury or injury period. He come back in, he marches the team down, maybe 60 yards or so. The stadium, the fans, the team itself was, man, it was electric. It was like, a whole different feeling came across the whole football field. He comes in, he throws the touchdown. Oh my, it meant a lot. And to see Cody go out as a senior, last play being a touchdown, you can't ask for no better situation. The guy had heart. The guy had guts. Is a little fellow with a big heart, and he was one of those leaders that he can take a situation that's bad and make it good, just because of his demeanor, just because his professionalism. He was that type guy. So that meant a whole lot.
Let's jump to 96, your senior campaign. You guys did go 6-5 that season, but what was the year like following the three-peat as you guys moved into that final season?
Well, the year was on and off. We lost 5 games and probably total 20 points. That's give or take. We'll lose a game by 1 point. We'll lose a game by 2 points. And it was, it was discouraging because we had set the stage so high. And if you can set the stage high being a freshman, you can set the stage high being a sophomore and junior, you definitely want to set it high your senior year, and you want to accomplish, the same goals to say my senior year, we did this. Unfortunately, we didn't accomplish the things we wanted to accomplish, but just all in all, just still being, around a great group of guys, being around, coaches that we built a tremendous, wonderful relationship with. You couldn't ask for no better. We was unsuccessful on the field as far as record, but we was very successful as far as the camaraderie we still had, the feelings we still had for each other, and the hard work and effort we put in during a losing season. So you couldn't ask for no better. If I could change anything, it would be the wins. But when you think about it, it made us stronger. Throughout the season, we had a lot of those meetings that we had the 95 year. Just to try to get people with the right mindsets and, the right direction. So I'm glad you brought that up, but it meant a whole lot.
Your final collegiate game, 10 receptions, 155 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And the 2 touchdowns are big because you entered that ball game second in career touchdown receptions. Your first touchdown catch tied the record. Your second touchdown catch broke the record. So that final game, going out with a bang, how memorable is it?
Very, very memorable. Ray, you have to understand that if you know me, and a lot of people do, I'm not out there to play for Mike. I'm out there to play for my teammates and play for the school. And it didn't matter to me whether I broke the record, but it mattered and meant so much more that I had coaches that wanted me to break the record and took enough consideration to say, hey, we're going to get Mike the ball. We're going to make sure he break this record. We're going to make sure he break that record. So that's what means the most to me, that they cared enough about me to put me in a situation to do those things. So, I want to personally thank those guys. Thanks, Coach Coach Wallace, Coach Slater, Coach Likens, all the other coaching staff. Thank my teammates, first and foremost, because without them, none of that is possible. We had some guys that was on the line. They battled, to make that happen. Because if they didn't do what they needed to do, none of the other stuff would have mattered. So again, thank all of those guys.
You finished your career as the school holder for receptions, receiving yards, touchdowns, statistically the best wide receiver to play at UNA to that point. And you look, it's arguably the greatest era of football at UNA, 3 national championships. And we'll wrap up the UNA portion of this interview, throwing all that in there, the experiences with your teammates, graduating from UNA. What does the University of North Alabama mean to Michael Edwards?
Oh, it means a whole lot. Again, I reiterate that UNA transformed me from being a boy to a man. Wonderful, wonderful atmosphere, wonderful staff as far as the school's concerned. Back then we had President Potts, which was a great human being, a great guy. I can't speak enough of the coaching staff, the faculties. All in all, UNA, I learned a lot there. The city of Florence, just was so open-hearted to UNA athletics, made us feel at home. There are places we went that, we didn't know anybody really, but people knew us. And they welcomed us, open-heartedly, and I can't even speak enough about the city, the school, and the team. So definitely, if I had to do it all over again, UNA, Roar Lions.
Roar Lions, and I lied. I want to ask you one more question about your football time at UNA. Bobby Wallace, head coach, what was it like playing your experience with Bobby Wallace?
Just a good guy. Coach Wallace, he had that father figure. He embraced, not no special person, not, anybody in particular. He embraced everyone. You knew when he stepped on the field, you needed to be doing what you needed to do, or you're supposed to be doing. He can, take a regular person, that had talent but didn't dispose it, and bring it out on him. He can tell you, hey, this team is far better than you guys, but you guys can be far better than them, and all around just a good guy. I definitely appreciate the time I had with him. I appreciate the things he instilled in in us and myself. So if you're looking, Coach Wallace, love you, guy.
So you finish up at North Alabama, and you've had a great career in law enforcement now, and now an interim captain with the Starkville Police Department. First off, what made you want to get into law enforcement?
When I went to college, my majors were criminal justice and sociology. I used to kind of like, I can't remember his name, but he followed the team around a lot. And I liked it, his swag. I liked it, his demeanor, and things of that sort. And I said, man, if things don't work out in football, I want to be an officer. And I ended up graduating with a degree in criminology. Got the opportunity, West Point, where I'm from, to be an officer there. Transferred from West Point to University, UAB, University of Birmingham, Alabama Police Department. And wanted to get close to home because I had a son at the time. He was playing football at the high school in West Point, and I wanted to get closer back to him. So decided to reach out to Starkville. They gave me an opportunity, and I've been here 15 years. So, you know, law enforcement has been close to my heart for a long time, and I think it speaks for itself with having 22 years in law enforcement. So, absolutely.
Now, my understanding, you also work game days at Mississippi State now that you're with the Starkville Police Department. So from winning national championships to working game days, what's it like being like on the other side?
It's no difference. You know, with me, working the games just bring back memories. You know, I have to catch myself sometime. A good play happened. I'm in uniform. I holler out. You know, I scream out. You know, good catch, good run, things of that sort. And then I realize, hey, you at work. You're not a fan today. So, but it's no difference. You know, I sacrifice. You know, on the football field, I sacrifice in being law enforcement. So if that's what it takes, working games, whatever the case might be, I'm dedicated to it.
You mentioned over 2 decades as a law enforcement officer now, Starkville Police Department. How rewarding has it been to be able to give back to the community now?
Very, very. It's Ray, this day and time, you know, there's a lot of people that could walk away from law enforcement. You know, you got the COVID going on, the pandemic, you got protesting, you got issues with law enforcement officers. You know, it's just that you need to make a dedication to be a solution to the problem and not a part of the problem. So my hat's off to police everywhere. My hat's off to people everywhere. It's just that there's a coordinates that, you know, everybody needs to get on, and giving back to the community, helping in every way, any way I can, is something that feels good. You know, and most of the time you should do it out of your heart. Then you do it for police or for being a police or whatever your status is. But when it comes from the heart, it means more to you.
Michael Edwards, an outstanding career at UNA, an outstanding career as a law enforcement officer. Thank you so much for taking the time to catch up with us.
Thank you, Ray. Have a good afternoon.